This time the quick speed shot. Check it out. Bam! It's new custom frame rails for the back of Project Rusty Junk YJ. I'm a professional. Don't try this at home. Okay, let's get these frame rails finished up on the back of this thing, and it'll build some kind of bumper action and trailer hitch action. So you can see, last video I cut these out, but I didn't weld them on. These are extensions off the frame rails here. Cut it at 45 to match the fender well, to provide a little bit of protection for the body there. That'll be pretty trick. I did one on both sides, obviously. I removed the taillight back up onto the body. I was talking about flush mounting the back here and cutting a hole on the other side. I'm running out of time. To finish this project up, I got to get some other things going, so I'm just going to leave the stock taillights on the back of it for now. Maybe next year, if they get broken or whatever, wheeling, I'll do something else. But I'm just going to put them back up stock. I'm just going to put a piece of sheet metal in the hole for the filler neck and blank that off. But what I'm working on now is I got a receiver hitch. I'm going to sink it into the rear cross member just a little bit because this is pretty short, and receiver tubes, or the receiver. This is the receiver. The actual hitch sticks out past the back of this. I bought this at the local trailer place. So I'm going to sink it into the cross member about a ½ inch, and then I'll have the extra 2 inches of the cross member for the hitches to stick into there, no problem, and it also give a little bit better spot to weld it up on there. And they're also going to, we're also going to add on some D-rings. I bought these at the trailer place. These are 6,100 pound trailer D-rings you weld on your big trailer. But we're going to use them here on this, and I'm going to weld them, bam, up in here on the cross member right by the frame rail where it's a pretty strong area. But since this is only 1/8 inch, like 11 gauge thick tubing, there'd be the potential of ripping this steel out if you really pulled on this really hard. They should be welded to something more substantial. So I got a piece of, I don't know what it is, almost 3/16 plate here. And what I'm going to do is cut this in half. I'm going to weld this onto the plate, and then the plate is going to get welded onto the cross member. And that'll double up the thickness of this frame rail. It'll spread the force of the pulling from this point. Instead of being real narrow, it's going to spread it all the way out on this tubing. And I should really beef this up here. So we'll work on that next. But I want to have a couple spots. I have my winch for this goes on a receiver tube, so I want to be able to slide the winch in the back or the front, and I want D-rings on the front and the back. If you're using the snatch block, whatever, you can have the winch in the center and come around the cable and hook onto the D-rings with a hook. So I'm just going to drill 4 holes in the corner of this, and then use the whiz bang on the grinder and cut out this hole, and then weld this tube up in here. Bam! Okay, I got the slit in here about ½ inch. Got my magnets on here to square it up side to side. Just got a square on the bottom here. I'm just going to give it a little tack right here. Bam. Alright, that's nice and square and true in there. I'm going to burn it into the cross member first because it's going to be hard to get into places once I get going here. So I'm going to do it right now while it's good and ready. Alright, bam, I got my plates made up for the shackle here. I welded her up on the bottom and I left the top open. These are got a pretty severe gap in them to get you do a root pass and a cover pass, but I'm going to do that on the Jeep here. So these are just going to weld right here right onto the cross member like so, and that shackle will be right up on there, and this should be pretty strong. I can tie the weld into the corner here and I'll be able to do some yanking. Let me tack it on and hold up. Might help if I get it straight. Nope, right there. Look at that! Bam! So I'm going to burn these on here. It's going to take a few minutes. I'm not going to weld it all the way around at once, obviously. I'll burn these on and then we'll start finishing out the little bit of bumper action here. Alright, to finish this off, I'm going to do a 2-inch, I think it's 3/16 wall, 2-inch bumper up here, and I'm mounting it up on top of the frame rails. It's actually going to notch into the frame rails about a 1/2 inch or so, and then I'm going to cut the frame rails off at like a 45 and roll them down under here, so it'll be a nice smooth approach angle. The only thing that'll hang down will be the hitch. And this is going to set right on top of the hitch and get welded here to tie the hitch in to strengthen that up. And I'm also going to go here, I've marked out with the soapstone notch. I'm going to 45 the corners of this over so it'll come up and it'll parallel the 45 cut on the frame extension and come in like flush with the fender flare, and that'll give a nice protection to this corner piece all the way around. The bumper sticks out past the taillights, so hopefully these will be alright here, but it's going to be kind of beefy. I mean, this isn't real big dimension wise, but it's plenty beefy for the back of the Jeep from the stuff I'm going to be doing. And then when it's welded up on top here, you can still get to the hooks, no problem, down here and all that. So that is my plan. I'm just got to go take the cutter and use a cutoff wheel, cut these notches out and bend it over. Bam. Bam, I got my notch there. You can see it. Now I'm just going to bend this over. Boom. Yeah, man, that worked out gangbusters. Nice. That's gonna be good. Wrap right around there nice, and then I'll just, when I get this welded on permanently, I'll just wing off the end of it and weld her up. Alright, bam, check it out. I got the both ends bent over and welded up here, and I've cut the first end. I cut it 45, so I'm continuing my 45 cut theme. But this bumper provides crash protection for this corner. It'll get in this bumper first, so it'll slide right down the fender flare and into the bumper and provide protection. Then I got this lower piece down here. Now I got to take the sawzall. I'm going to notch these frame rails and drop the bumper down about a ½ inch till it sits on top of the receiver hitch here. And then it's going to weld to the receiver hitch all the way around and weld into the frame horns, and then I can cut the bottom of these off later. But I've got plenty of clearance for my my hooks to function. It looks pretty trick. It's real simple, pretty heavy duty. So I just want to show you one trick. Where is it? I lost it already. Oh. Where did... Aha! This is the angle gauge or angle finder, I guess. I don't know. I probably get them in any type of hardware store. And what it does is allows you to, with this wing nut, you can adjust it, and you can make your angle here match your part. So if you're making something, you can take it over and you can match up the angle on the other side. And it's fully adjustable all the way around, so you can keep track of your angles, keep them dialed in. So I got the bumper symmetrical. So I just got to mark these frame rails with a soapstone, and I'll cut it in. And before I weld this on, I'm going to box in the corners of these plates with 1-inch flat stock. Well, it's easy to get and grind up and clean all that up. And then I'm going to clean this up too before I weld it on with the grinder, so that's all nice and clean. But we're in the home stretch here, frame and bumper wise. All I got to do besides this, finishing this up, is still box the make some fish plates on the outside of the frame. But we'll get all this dialed in first. Okay, so I got the bumper here ready to weld on. And just like Bob Ross says, a happy little accident. These tails I welded on the cross member here, originally under the corner, they actually line up perfectly with the edge of this bumper, so I can weld this right along here, so this thing won't ever be able to be crushed in because it's going to be attached right all the way through solid. So that's awesome. So I got this thing ready to go. It's going to weld here all the way to the trailer hitch around, weld to these, to the notches I cut in there, and then weld on there. So this thing will be super stout. It's not going to go anywhere. Pretty much awesome. So I just got a burner on up here, and then the only thing left to do is just box in these end pieces with some flat stock. I boxed in these pieces with some 14 gauge flat stock, these lower pieces, and I'll box in the ends of the bumper too with some 14 gauge. And then thing will be ready for primer and some flat black paint. Alright, bam, I got this fish plate welded on here. I cut it out of 14 gauge, which is a little bit thinner than the frame rail, and overlapped it. It's got a step in it to roll around that piece, and welded her up on there good. I got this whole thing primed now. Everything is ready to paint. I'll show you what I did to the frame tails back here. So the frame tails I cut off at a 45 like I said I was going to. And I left the bottom about 3/4 of an inch open so I can fluid fill up in the frame, and any dirt and rust that's in the frame can be blown out the back. That's why this thing rotted out originally. The original tails came down, and all the debris was trapped in the frame, and that's what rotted the tails out. So now I'll be able to get it out, and I can also stick my fluid film gun in there. But you can see this thing is all welded up nice. It's primed. I'm just letting this dry, and I'm going to hit up some flat black. This thing will be super beefy. I got my winch mount point. I got my tow hook points, and as soon as my shackles come in next week, I'll be able to put these in and get this thing back on the ground and turn around and put the front bumper on it, fix the frame up there, and then this thing will be ready to wheel. So I'm pretty excited. This came out pretty awesome. I didn't really have a plan. I just kind of winged it, and I think it came out looking pretty good. I like this approach angle here. I like the tow hooks being welded on. I like the small bumper that wraps around the body and protects everything. So I'm going to call it, for winging it, I'm going to call it a win. Bam. So that's it on the back of the Jeep here, Project Rusty Junk YJ. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm putting out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Hit the bell for alerts, tell your friends, and we'll see you right back here at the Quick Speed Shop, turning rusty junk into cool old stuff into shop.